Well, it's now a good afternoon in the studios in Harrogate. Craig, show me the money. Show me the money. We're going to do this quick and aggressive. We're going to hopefully deliver something for you, which I think is going to... Joe's looking at me already saying, please don't do it, Dad. Be politically correct. We're agents. Look after the family money. Look after our players, Joe. Protect us. I'm saying, Joe, bollocks. This is it. I've got my York top on. That'll give you a clue what we're going to do. I don't know. I've got in it actually. I'm a bit worried it's an extra large, and it definitely doesn't. So we're going to call this expansion.
Yeah.
Versus tradition. And the reason I want us to talk about it, and I want us to not hold back. We haven't got the great Mick Ledell here, but we can set this show up so Mick comes back and he can deliver Bradford and London. We probably need somebody to deliver Catalans and Toulouse. But the last month, we all know what's happening within the game behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, the Sky money is now dropping every year. So the pressure's on. The moves have been made internally to bring people in. And then people are coming with the vote of tradition, which means Toulouse and Catalans don't have any views to get the money for Sky because they don't have Sky TV. But they're taking money out of the game. Catalans 1 point, whatever it is, 1.6 to lose their thing. That's against London, Bradford, and at the moment, the reason I've got this top on, I think York are right up there to be considered. So we're not going to give our opinions, Joe, but we're going to put stuff across for people. Please, please, please get involved in this. I'd do it live if we could. Sam, our producer, has banned us because of how aggressive I'm going to be with the following opinions.
Yeah.
So let's just set the scene. At the moment, we're in the last year of the Sky deal. We know what's been going on behind closed doors. We've had the NRL offered, and this, I think it's smoke screens. I've been told by 4 CEOs this week. It's the Wigan chairman who's pushing it, and he's saying, rightly so or wrongly, that's what we've said on this show. We thought the NRL were the only people who could pick this up, but I think the best comment I've heard about that this week is this, and it's from a very learned man within the game, and he said, whether the NRL come in or not, make sure we're in a better place before we sell it to him, because if you've got a stock and it's at its lowest, why would you let somebody come in when you're not offering much? You're in your last year of your deal. You know, you've got figures that are not brilliant because of, we've said, the fire sticks, whatever. Let's be positive. I think we've had a fantastic start. Sell out Wakefield, sell out OKR, sell out Hull. You know, these teams are selling out, and so we are in a fantastic start. We've got to get into this, and that's then we need as many views. We will come back on the next show and answer every single question. I give you my word. But let's get into this, Joe. Joe, Catalans, start off. Catalans, historically, I think they offer an expansion to the game that if the NRL came in, why would they want the M62 corridor? Why would they not want Catalans? Because Toulouse, maybe even a Barcelona, a Dublin. Why would they want us putting 10 clubs along the corridor of the M62?
Well, I don't get you. They wouldn't, but that's not what the Super League clubs would argue, was it? I don't think.
Yes.
What's he saying?
So what they've said, the Wigan chairman is saying, if the NRL do come,
that's the Wigan though.
Yeah, we do need.
But he's not part of this.
Yeah, but I'm saying we need this expansion, or otherwise, what you're not for the NRL. If we go,
but you're wording that as in that's the goal. The goal's to sell to NRL. I don't think that's the goal for most
I
of
think
the
others don't want to sell it to the NRL, and they want to have power, and they want to get rid of the 2 French clubs, and they want to go, this is what we've got here, and we'll get London in a thing, and then we'll go at our own, we'll have our own power, we'll have our own deal. I think they don't want to lose the power. The Wigan man saying, and maybe one other, that's the best chance of our future. We need to seriously consider looking at that. I think it's Simon Moran, whatever it is, they're saying you need to look at this serious.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Yeah.
On me Catalans, one of the best away grounds to go and travel to. I think if you're having a meal, it's the spice on the meal of Super League. I think they've offered loads to Super League. You get the traditionalists who say, what? They don't travel in numbers. They only sell themselves at home. So it's their sell out. The players, but I think they've brought some of the best players ever to play Super League. I think they've come, when they've played, they've offered fixtures that are amazing. I always enjoy watching Catalans at the teams I go to. I think it's a fantastic game. They nearly won the grand final. They were 16 minutes away from winning it. They've been in the Challenge Cup. Everybody who travels to Catalans say it's a fantastic experience. The players historically liked it, don't like it as much now because they're in and out within the day. Historically, they'd stay for a day and a half. They'd be able to go out for a drink and enjoy themselves with their families and the club. I'm not going to go into Toulouse too much because, I think Mick's got the knowledge on Toulouse and that's what we'll wait. But Catalans as a Super League, from your experience as being a young man, when you've seen Catalans come to clubs and you've watched them, what do you think?
I think they provide something different, don't they? I think that's definitely they're not bound by the quota rules of the Aussies. So, like I said, you always get to see some big names. Obviously, this year they've attracted Luke Keary in the past, Mitchell Pearce.
Israel Folau. We could go on all day
with some things that probably wouldn't be that they wouldn't be attracted. I very doubt would be attracted to come to a Yorkshire, Lancashire, but sell them that French son. There's reported to Vita Pengai Jr. I think they're saying reportedly DCE wants to come. So that's the appeal of Catalans. I've never done the Catalans trip. You've never took me in my youth, so I never got to.
I was going 1 year.
I never got to go. So
you got beat in that tournament.
So yeah, I got punished and never got to go to the Catalans. So I can't say from that front, use that as a good point, but I don't know. I can't speak from experience. But obviously, we've been in meetings. I've been in meetings where we've had this conversation with certain chairmen and certain people, and a lot they don't like the Catalans club angle of it because, like you said, they miss out on the Sky money, which again I can't speak for. But with the current Sky deal, if it is just let's survive and squeeze as much money into it as possible, then yes, they probably.
Yeah, the French are not offering any figures.
Yeah.
To add to the total to negotiate.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So if they're just trying to survive and go, we just need as much as we can for now, then yes, probably Catalans aren't the best to have in there. I do get that part. I do get that they don't travel away, so you never, unless you're at a grand final, you never sat there with loads of Catalans fans going, "Oh my God, the Frenchies!" You rarely ever go on a night out, and there's loads of French people after the game having a pint with you. And that's
it seemed to be a lot more. I remember, in the day, I think you'd see quite a lot of, the French sports.
I'm not seeing it massively, but yeah, so. I don't know. There's definitely a good argument not to have him, and there's definitely a very good argument to have him. The good side is they're amazing. You know what I mean? They've done amazing things. They're paid. The owners must be. We talk about some of the English owners that have put money in. The French owners must have put.
I think they use it as their town job. So I think the Catalan town, the local butchers, they know how much money comes in to the town, so they are all sponsoring the club for massive money because. The restaurants are full, the bars are full. They're using this. It's a fantastic place. To be honest, it's our franchises run all over the world. If we take the best franchise at one time, Chicago Bulls, you couldn't get a ticket for 5 years in America.
I can speak for Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks, they had Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you know your basketball, he got drafted to the Bucks. Milwaukee, when I first went in 2016, was this old school town. Fairly slow in nature. It was just this nice thing, had a nice market, and then Giannis turned into one of the best players in the NBA. They won the championship, and now you go to Milwaukee, it is bouncing. There's new buildings, there's new stadium, new thing. It is all built around Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. This whole centre of Milwaukee, it's enlightened it. So yeah, I get it. And obviously it brings so much business, so much thing because people are excited to go to Milwaukee.
The traditionalists are saying
that doesn't provide for the others.
That's all right for Catalans. and they get all our fans to go there every year, and all the local businesses are booming, and they get loads of people in the restaurants, the bars, the planes, the airport, but that gives nothing back. I can see that argument. But also the international game is impacted. If we get a Catalans and a Toulouse, they're providing the French international, which I think we're going to go down the street of playing it. I think that'd be kaput. Where would Catalans, if they didn't go into Super League, they'd go into the French League with Toulouse? Would that make that stronger and they can build it up and have their own competition with their own TV deal? I don't know. I suppose if the NRL did come in, because it's not Sky, they wouldn't be interested in their interesting view. So them putting Catalans on against...
Yeah, but they'd probably have to go through Sky or a BT or a Dan to have a TV deal in this country.
Yeah, but I'm saying, let's just say they do it in this country and then they're selling it over there. It won't affect... Catalans won't be affected by not bringing fans in over there because they're not bothered about that. They're just on about views. So if they put all them games on Fox Sports or whatever avenue, they're not bothered who's... Catalans are not taking 50 away. This is purely the commercial people of the traditional clubs in the UK. The pressure on at the moment is, if Nigel is going into the RFL, and it's still not been fully...
No, he's interim chair.
He's interim chairman, but like say...
full time, yeah.
You know, would Nigel be an expansionist and advise it? I think Nigel's gone in to be a traditionalist. I think the guns have been beaten and they've got Nigel in to put this forward. That's
he was originally a bit of an expansionist back in the day. That's the interesting...
When he got his...
Rugby League International.
When he got his severance, he got the job as the World Federation, so he was... That's what that was about. So would Nigel leave that and do what's politically correct of him? Donald Trump comes in and the people want him to do the certain things. Does Nigel come in and they go, you better back up what you said? You know what I mean? You better back up the famous one with John F. Kennedy. They reckon the mafia got him in, don't they? And when he got the job, his brother turned around and tried to get them all in jail, and they've gone, we got you here through your dad. Your dad were a bootlegger. No, it's true. You read the books, and it's all true. That's all true. Please, anybody out there, read the story. So I'm saying is Nigel might have a thing to push the traditional clubs.
A mandate.
I don't know what his personal feelings. I'd love to get him on the show and say, Nigel, are you an ex-mantalist or a traditionalist? Where's your views? He'd be very politically... in ties in knots. It's probably only Mick would be able to go with him on that type of detail, but Mick's his right hand man, shall we say? Mick's his do they call it a thingy doctor? Whatever, the spin doctor. Mick's his spin doctor. So I don't think we'd get that one, but I'd love to hear what he personally thinks without the political. Listen, here's my take on it quick. I think Catalans have been amazing. I don't think financially they have, and I think I don't own a club where they're not bringing any fans, and I'm pissed off when Hull turn up and bring 2,000, which is worth, let's say, £20 a head. That's worth 40,000 to me. They bring nothing. Yep. If it were my money, I'd probably be saying same. I'd probably be thinking, God.
Of course, yeah.
I think for the Sky deal, because of the deal, they don't have Sky in France. That's horrific. Is that a bit of Sky's fault as well that they haven't tried to get?
Not really.
No, not bothered about that one. So it's purely they don't offer nothing. So when the players,
so if it would be the TV, it would be them. Would it be Eurosport or I don't know French sport TV well enough, but sure they'd have to have a deal with their main sport provider.
So the other question is, when they come to play Cass, Leeds, did they get more views watching Sky than it would be a London or a Bradford playing in them places? I suppose they've got the figures. Nigel then will have the figures. Like if Catalans play Warrington, and then if Bradford were in Super League, if they play Warrington, what would the figures be? That's the big question I think everyone has to ask. We know they bring more supporters, so financially the clubs will vote for that.
Clubs themselves, yeah.
But do they bring more views? Again, that's a Mick Gledell answer will do. Bring the detail for that, and anybody who's got a lot of our viewers are more intelligent than anybody. So if you're there, you put it in so we can.
The average viewership.
It'd be amazing what they think would happen if you put London in and out.
Well, I imagine, just off the back,
London don't travel with numbers, do they?
No, but I imagine having a Bradford would have more views than because the people who aren't going to the game, or the Bradfordites plus neutral fans.
So that gives us more bargaining chips to go to the big boys and say, actually, we've got more numbers with Bradford.
More numbers and more subscribers, So I think financially, in the short term, it doesn't make the most sense for them in the short term to be in, but obviously in the long term, it's great to have a team like Catalans in who have provided lots, who are now
colour and spice.
But historical things now. Like you said, they've got finals now in them. They've got this. They've got an international. I think they've now got the history that they should be kept in, and that's normally what the old school argue, the history, the this, that. Well, the Catalans have been, over the last 15 years, have provided more history than Bradford, than all of them nearly put together. So it's one of that's probably the Catalans argument. It's one of the toughest calls in rugby league.
When I sit down with non-rugby players, rugby friends, me mentioning there's a Catalans is a little bit sexy to them. The Toronto, we had 18 months on it. I used to go into place and they'd say, is Toronto in? They were amazing to talk about. So it was looking like we were the sport who were reinventing ourselves,
making it international,
and people were like buzzing. So there's got to be that on the media. There's got to be that on, Sonny Bill coming to Headingley that day. Everyone, it was sensational. I think we've got to have that. I'm massive on that. I don't think we can get rid of Catalans. I think we need that, and I think what they bring to the game now, whether that can be deducted in cap money, I'd negotiate that if I were in charge. I'd say, okay, there's a middle ground.
But then, would you be able? But then,
that's up to Catalans. I'm only giving you $1 million. I might say I'm having $1 million, and that one's going to be given to the other ones who are supporting this deal better than you. If you want your town to be that, you're going to have to self-support if that and make sure this. I think that'd be a conversation I'd be willing to have. To keep them in. I certainly won't just say you're not in and we're taking the full 1.8, we're putting London or Bradford in.
Yeah.
No, London have had more chances than anybody. Let's be honest. I know people said they sell more Sky dishes, but let's be straight and honest. London have had 5 chances to make this work and they haven't. And we keep saying, but it's the capital of England, and if anybody comes in from Australia, they'll want to see London in there. Well, they don't want to see London with crowds of 600 in there, and that's got to be talked about. Bradford's another argument, and Mick's going to come, I'm sure, again in later weeks. Mr. Gledhill will come with his Bradford top on and deliver a presentation on behalf of Nigel Wood. On behalf of the Rugby League, and give it the Bradford one and London one. But I'm purely talking about Catalans. My vote is yes in, but maybe negotiate a little bit down on the having the even split. That's just my opinion. Yeah,
like it.
Right, now we come over to my theme on this show at the moment. By the way, I paid for this top. It's a medium, and I think if we're going to go expansion in England, this club has to be right up there with anything. And I'm going to speak. I've made some notes. We're going to speak together on behalf. I'm going to start off speaking at my notes, and I want you to come in and give an outside opinion on what you think.
Yeah, the thoughts.
But I'm going to give this for York Knights, and I'm going to give it everything we've got. So for all you York fans and fans all over, I think this is a bit of expansion, but it's an option of taking on.
It's still M62, isn't it? I think
it's still M62, but we're taking on London and Bradford. I'm trying to give these a pitch, which the others will get.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah.
So, facilities. State-of-the-art stadium. York Rugby League plays at the NLR Community Stadium. 8,500 all-seater. Venue opened in 2020. It meets all Super League standards and has hosted major events, including Rugby World Cup fixtures in 21.
Yep.
Comprehensive training facilities. The club benefits from elite level training infrastructure, including upgraded 3G pitches and professional strength conditioning equipment. So let's take that one. As a player, and we had Bradford, London, where do you want to play, Joe?
And York. Out of the three, if you want a bit of spice, you'd go London. Otherwise, if you want the best out of them, I don't know London's facilities that well, so I can't even comment. But I know they don't own the stadium; it's not technically theirs, is it? So York win for me in terms of facilities, in terms of going to the. Do I prefer going to when I've been to Bradford's training facilities? I've been to Bradford training facilities. I've been to Bradford Stadium. I prefer York Stadium and I prefer York's training facilities. So it's not even a competition in terms of the stadium. Like I said, you always laugh saying that we went swimming that day before we went to the York game. You told the story.
Fantastic experience.
That wins compared to Bradford. Bradford, you're struggling.
Bradford got massive other skills and pluses, but one of them wouldn't be there at the moment.
We're going point by point, aren't we? I think York on the training and stadium, York win for me. That Odsal top they need a new stadium or it don't work for me. Nice.
Exclusive catchment area. York Rugby League serves a unique geographic region, the City of York. Approximately 202,000 residents, and North Yorkshire approximately 615,000 residents. A major area, undeserved by top-tier rugby league. So, do we think York as an area can handle rugby league, and will it be attractive to the comp if York should be in there? We've tried Newcastle. We're pumped to beat Newcastle.
This is the one for me where I think it's tough, because if you compare it to Bradford's history in not only the history of them as a sport, but them as a catchment. Bradford's still a big city, but I think York's development in making it part of the York experience. If you're a traveller, York as what's the obvious word? Sightseeing or a day out where you go and visit. I forgot that a tourist. As a tourist, you're visiting York over Bradford 365 out of 356 days a year.
And if they do go to NRL and we do
go to Europe,
York's name and York's history
and beauty and history and everything about York, and just the city itself is unbelievable. So I think York win in that regard. But in the regard of the history of Bradford, it's a tough battle, because I think, like you said,
London had obviously come into there as challenging York on being one of the best places to see in the world.
That's the tough one.
So a breakdown of that is tourism and quality of life. York is consistently ranked as one of the top 5 most livable cities in the UK. It attracts over 9 million visitors annually, providing an unmatched opportunity to grow the game in a premium destination. Minimal sporting competition. And this is the one I like, and I want, again, please get into it. No EFL football club or Premiership Rugby Union team. York Rugby League is positioned as the city's premier professional sports club, offering a clean market for fan engagement and brand growth.
Agreed. Over the commercial side of York, as you can see by the top level companies that have been sponsored by him, is the best. York traditionally is not a sporting city. That's your nightmare, isn't it? They talk about this in America. Some places are just sporting cities. They go mental about.
Well, we just seen Newcastle, the football. I've never seen anything like that. They're still celebrating 2 weeks later.
Newcastle, sporting city. That's why we give Newcastle a go. I know in America, what's the Seattle is a sporting city, and the devastation over Seattle around the country that Seattle don't have a sporting thing because of their histories. But York doesn't have that history. It's more of a historical town that has history in a lot of other ways other than its sport. So I guess that's arguing it's right that there is opportunity there, but are the people of York looking for a sport? Me, the people of York are very liberal, outgoing, soft. I don't go York and feel like it's dying for a sport.
Yeah, because you're saying York. Sam, going with Sam.
I was going to say York City is second in the National League, so they might be promoted back to.
They might be coming back. They're on the way
back. No, I get it. And if you see a UFC fight, would they go York? Probably not. Would they have a boxing fight? There's never been a major boxing venue at York. There wouldn't be many big concerts over the years where you'd go, wow, this one at York. I get what Joe's saying. Don't mean it can't change. Don't mean it won't be attractive. So on-field performances, the last 3 years, York have reached the championship playoffs in 22, 23 and 24. one of the only clubs to do so, the other one being Featherstone, achieved Challenge Cup quarterfinals in 23, 1895 Cup semi-finals 23-24. Proven ability to compete with Super League opposition in knockout formats. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a one to go against Bradford in terms of we're not because obviously Bradford have beat Cass. I think Bradford now win that one. London have been in Super League through winning the playoff final.
Yeah.
They got promoted, so I think that one's just a bit of a battle against them saying no, we still can compete, because that's the argument, is that London and Bradford over the last 10 years have been better. Obviously they've had more help,
yeah.
they've had more things, but so I think that's...
I think on that one, which is a weird one, is you just mentioned it'd be linking with both. If York got given 1.6 million to spend and they attracted, a prime Kevin Sinfield or a prime, they've probably never had the chance to bring that player in yet. Whereas London have had NRL players, they've had international players. Bradford historically have had superstars, Robbie and Henry Paul.
Not in the last 10 years.
No, but I'm saying that historically, I don't think York have ever had that type of exposure. Bradford have had a go, London have had a go. I think if York had a go, we'd probably answer some questions. Would the crowd get bigger? Would the sponsors be bigger? Would the views be bigger if they could bring in 2 or 3, like Catalans, if they could bring in 2 or 3 international Australian big names? Would that capture this cosmopolitan York where they like to go walking, win the cathedral, they love food, they love to engage? Would they still go, I tell you what, let's get down to this stadium? That's a big question. I agree completely. That's a great point you brought up. Probably the only thing you've said sensibly in a long time. I like that. But good point. Here we go, the next one. Strategic reference to the sport. In 2024, IMG Gradings ranked York Rugby League Football Club the 15th overall club without Super League exposure in the last 3 seasons. So without the Super League exposure, they still got number 15. The score is built entirely on organic growth without the artificial invasion of recent top-tier exposure. Do you know what that means, guys? Broken down?
No, it just means London.
Yeah, without having the Super League benefit of that, obviously. They're still doing really well and they're building on the brand.
Being in Super League naturally given more points in the IMG rank.
Yes. York is a part of a broader national strategy with both Rugby Union England, both England men's and women's national teams basing themselves in the city, and the Women's World Cup set to hold matches at the LNR Community Stadium. Failing to elevate York now risks ceding a higher potential rugby city to rival codes.
I agree. I think York at the moment, you've got a chance to really make it a rugby league city. You've got a chance to... For me, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's one of the greatest. It's the greatest cultural city we've got in the Northern Hemisphere.
Agreed.
And I think that in the Northern Hemisphere, in the northern section of the UK, but I think if we get a chance and if there is potential to get York in, I think it's beautiful. Like I said, the Australians come to York. I think was it Samoa and New Zealand both based themselves in York throughout the World Cup and different competition. I think Samoa, when they come over, was it last year, based themselves in York. New Zealand based themselves in York. I remember when AJ Towse and Miles and Toby were there, they got to play with some of the New Zealand players in the training. They were an amateur, but they love York. International people, if we want to make it more of an international game, which is the debate, is it we keep it within the M62 and just milk the M62 as much as we can, or do we make it international? If it's going to be international...
You probably put York, are we right in saying this, guy? Will you put York in the expansion, a little bit of an expansion? Like, instead of saying the traditionals, which are London and Bradford, are York in that... And is that cost them? Do you think that could cost them because they're maybe seen as a little bit of Catalans, a little bit of Toulouse, a little bit of...
No, I don't think so, because I think London's out of the 3, probably the expansion team is London, because it's somewhere totally different. So It's tough. I think that battle's really tough because I think in terms of which is the best M62 city that I'd want to put a Super League club in, it would be York.
I get you, but I'm going to put this to you. You just mentioned London there. London have had 5 goals, 6 goals at this. York have never had a goal. Is it worth giving York a
That's
window?
a different argument.
Okay.
I agree with you. It is, for me, it is worth it, but it's a different thing because the true expansionists who want it thing, you've got to have London in. There's not a world in which the top city, sadly, for all the Yorkshire people that obviously we are, all the Lancashire people, that the city is run off London. The country is run off London now. It's massive. All the money is in London.
Economically, of course.
It's now bigger than ever in terms of economic takeover compared to the rest of the country. It's now just in a world of its own. You've got to have London in for that reason. I think that's London's only argument for them to be in. Like you said, they've had nightmares after nightmares. They've had every go. But if we want to be respected sport throughout the country, we've got to have a London-based team.
That's maybe why Mike Edmondson and Gary Etherington have got involved. Right, commercial growth. Club revenue has grown from 500,000 in 21 to 2.3 million in 24, a more than 4-fold increase, demonstrating rise in commercial maturity. Season ticket sales have increased 90% over the past 3 years, driven by York strong community connection. York boosts major partnerships, and I'm sure that you can see this. I hope I'm doing it justice. It's Land Rover, Rolex, Lanson, and Nestle, positioning the club as a commercial. I even seen David Lloyd on this job.
Yeah,
so David Lloyd as a fantastic commercial attractive asset for Rugby League. I think the sponsorship on the others, the Bradford and London, will invite them on, wouldn't be the same. I think York's this and going that way, it'd be different to them on what they were at one time to where they are now.
Yeah.
So they can have, when we do their own one and that. So innovation, York as the benchmark in women's sport, becoming the first UK club to offer multi-year contracts and paid maternity leave. The women's team, York Valkyrie, made history as the first back-to-back women's Super League champions, a remarkable feat for a part-time club. That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're trying to get this game to spread right through like women's football. It's like they are one of the most, we always said in Doncaster Bells football were the first ever Premier League winners and all that, and then they just died. You've got to be right with York. For them to do that from a part-time basis and a championship club, it is absolute. That's the one I'm going to applaud bigger than all. What an unbelievable. And there's a comparison here, so I'm going to put a comparison. Bradford have a women's team but are not competitive at elite level. London Broncos have minimal presence of leadership in the women's game. That's fact. Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you think that'd have anything when it comes to the vote? Is that good?
In terms of the modern day of running things, that you've got to have representation of all people and all
cultures and everything,
all sects of society. Yes, it's absolutely ginormous. Yeah, it's absolutely, because then you're not making it just club to club, Bradford history, York are the new this is thing. You actually say no, as a full club, not just a team. I meant to say as a full club, we provide the full basis of every tick box, of every sky, of every modern day analysis, having both sides. York win substantially.
York, historically, cultural. York was founded in 1868, founded with the deep Rugby League roots. Notably, the club beat the All Goals and drew with Australia in 1908, making York the first club ever to not be beaten by Australia. So there's some rich history of Rugby League in York. That's a fantastic one as well, isn't it?
It is, and I think, to be fair to Clint, I'll give Clint some shout out here. Last few times I've been, he's done a much better story than I think others have at telling that. I think that's been a basis of Clint's push for fans, for sponsors, for thing. When you go,
he has 100 ex-players there every week.
100 ex-players, but then he'll have leaflets of the old games. He'll have, like I said, a player there walking out. He'll tell a story every game. So I think that's what he's doing a lot better at. He's better at telling the history of York. When if you said 5 years ago, tell me York's history, there's only players who would play that would really know it. So
I think the good thing about Clint is he understands franchises better than anybody in the game. That's my opinion. I'll stick up. I think on that one, Clint is the number one, understanding what it takes for a franchise. I think what he hasn't got is the love. He's not in the curry club. He's not made it. I've asked him, I said, have you been invited to the curry club? He said, never. I said, well, we need to try and get you there. Because that's where the shakes are happening. We need you to have the Taj Mahal Curry Club. I think York need a bit of love off the rugby fraternity. I think this is a way in our show of promoting that. But I think Clint knows his onions. He'd be one of only 3 or 4 who challenge Nigel. And it'd be how people are not doing it. If it were me, by the way, I'd have Sky TV, have Clint, Nigel, whoever's representing Bradford, and the London Gary Edrington, whoever it's going to be, and you'd have this debate live, and you'd be able to get at it. You'd be able to do that presidential thing where they can really say it. And I think Clint would challenge anybody at that game. I think that is where his elitism. And I think for one lad to take the club over from not John Guildford,
John Flatman,
and do what he's done, keep it going, and his investment has been a credit to him. It's a credit to everything they're doing. Conclusion: York offers the complete package for Super League 26. Elite facilities, consistent on-field performance, standout impact, rapid commercial growth. The highest non-ranked Super League club in IMG gradings, built without recent top flight exposure. A vibrant, growing city with no serious sporting competition. Representing one of the last great untapped rugby league markets. I like that. So it's one of the last untapped where they think they can... Yeah? I think the same by contrast, Bradford is probably on that one. It was there. It were the kings of it, and that one's declining that way. York is just not ready. It is essential to the future of the sport. Promoting York means embracing a vision of long-term, innovative and strategic growth. Exactly what Super League needs and is looking for. As that pitch for York, Joe, got your blood boiling, Sam, as it give you a thing, would you, if they got to the vote, Joe, and they go, let's say this is going to happen.
Well, they're saying, will not name the
14
clubs.
teams.
Well, they're saying no, 2 clubs might leave the Super League.
Right.
If 2 clubs leave Super League, out of the 3, who's your picks?
I got to hear Bradford have the chance on the show through Michael to give it the full Monty.
Yeah.
I think I've got to hear somebody representing, we need to ask if we're going to do it fair, from London.
Yeah. To
come down and present a London presentation, whether I deliver it or whether you or whether somebody delivers it, and that's only fair. Before I give that opinion on who I'd have in them, I wouldn't do it without that. It'd be horrible. What I will say is, York recruit, and without the pressure of winning it, that lad has never gone against what he said to us 5 years ago. I admire that more than anything. He will sign younger players, and he will say to you, has he got 3 or 4 year development in him? Yes. So he's nothing about, I want a 31-year-old to leave this year. That'll give me more points. He's never sacrificed his thing on the field, what I've seen, never, for the benefit of just getting cheap. I've won the league. So he has a young squad. He was looking for players who can bridge Championship and Super League. That was it. When he came to our house 3 years ago, he said, that's what I want to do. And he's done it. And he's never gone against it. I offered to play it the other day, and he said, not for what we want, Craig. You know what we want. I bet he's had such an hard time financially trying to keep it going. You know, when you've got outside investment coming in, you've still got to go back to investors and Clint himself and go, right, guys, I've got some more good news, when they hadn't probably had any good news. You know, apart from his own growth areas growing, he's doing a great job. But I think there's a frustration that the game don't give York anything and don't look to get him in. And if he's not in the Curry Club and he's not in the Rugby League Australia, you know, the Carl Fitzpatrick, the Wigan, then he's on his own, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's on his own there, and he's got his own brand, and he's developed it fantastic, and no one seems to know. I don't go anywhere in Rugby League and people say massively, let's get York in. You'd say, let's get Bradford in some, and some people have argued London, some people have argued Toulouse. You don't rarely get people being aggressive on York, unless you've heard it.
No, I think we've been the biggest pushers of York, haven't we, over the last 6 years? I think we've always been big fans of the city, of what they're doing. Like I said, sets up the big debate. You've made your argument. Excited to hear Mick's argument for Bradford. Like you said, hopefully we can get someone in. We'll speak to Mike Eccles, speak to someone and try get someone to put a presentation towards for London, and we can.
Whether you go with York, London, Toulouse, Catalans, stay in York. I'm going to say this: York need to be in. We know with the racing, Joe, they can get 40, 50,000. When we did Royal Ascot at York, they were scared that Royal Ascot would be gone because it's that big. York didn't just think they beat the figures that Ascot had of 100 years. The people in the north turned out for Ascot, the Queen came, and that couple of years it broke every record. It was sell out in the 80s.
Was that during COVID?
No, not COVID, because no one had been there. It was due to, I think Ascot were getting developed.
Was it?
And they closed it, and they were shit in the sense, saying it's coming to York, they can't handle this, and we sold it out every day for 2-3 years, to a point of people have said, bring Royal Ascot to York again. Racing, Henry Cecil, when Frankel came, they were in the streets, thousands and thousands, to see the great Frankel and Henry Cecil on his last time come. They do back it, there will be. Whether they'll back Rugby League and whether we need to help Clint do that and things, but historically, it's amazing, isn't it? If I got races at York and then you come out, it's beautiful. I've said before, I'd move to York. It's one of them places that if anybody gets the chance, they'd actually say, do you know what? I love the cobblestone streets. I love to be around it. We need York in. And regardless of who I vote for, and I might not get a chance to vote, we're not custodians, we're just people with opinions. But I think we need York in 100%. And I think once York got in, and what have they got to lose in giving York a maybe 3-year boat of what Bradford have had a go, London have had a go, Catalans have had a go, Toulouse have had a go. Give them a go. Give them 1.6 million for 3 years and see what Clint and his team can do. I don't think they'd ever come out. I think they can get the crowds. I think they can get 6,000 to 7,000, generally. Hull bring 2, and it's closer to York than anywhere. Hull KR bring 2, it's close to York than anywhere. Leeds, Cass, they're only half an hour away. So you'd be getting 6,000 to 7,000 people at this stadium. It'd be electric. And Clint wants to bring the best players. I think you'd see some proper. I think there'd be a great academy. What a. Watching the other day, Fordy was saying Greg Minnick and Chris Bryan and the Batchelor brothers who've all gone on to Super League from there recently. That's only a little hitch of what could happen. Our winger at League. AJ Tow's another one. Toby could make his debut soon. So we've got Danny Brough played there as a young man. There is a historic thing of what could happen in that area. So my vote is 100%. York have got to be in it, and if it's a vote, they have got to be in.
Lovely.
And I'm going to be speaking to the Curry Club as we speak, and I'm looking to get you on the Curry Club for next Monday, Clint. You probably need to watch Eating That Too Much Nansen. Well, I saw it the other day, but apart from that, I would say thank you for listening. I've lost about a storm. Thank you for listening. I hope that gives people and really gets them stirred up. And next 2 weeks, Mick Led will be back, and we'll be back with some. So thank you from me, and thank you from Joe, and thank you from Sam.